Dome School is where we teach owners and some contractors how to build a dome. We're taking them into our shop, cutting out parts and pieces for the dome, and put those parts and pieces together outside. We're going to teach them about building a dome. We have people coming to Dome School this time from California, Maine, South Carolina, and Ireland. Most of the people here are actually owner-builders. They want to save the most amount of money they can, so by doing it themselves, and a dome is something that can be done by an individual, they will save thousands of dollars, probably in the range of 30 to 40% of the cost of their project. The Dome School is over the weekend, actually. This evening, Friday evening, we went out to a little mock-up we have. We put up a section of a dome framework, that is the riser wall or the knee wall portion of the dome, and what we call the strut framework. The class is actually up on 2.5 sections of scaffolding, pounding and nailing and putting all these parts and pieces together. The dome is a very unique structure. People want to find out about it. They are very interested in seeing the inside of the dome. We're dealing with a group of individuals who want to build an alternative structure. They want to build something extremely energy efficient, and that's where the dome comes in. It is different than a conventional house. You've got to get inside, you've got to get out and around and about it to really get the feel of this dome. There's something unique inside the dome. There's something magical in the dome that attracts people. On the second day of Dome School, we cut out exterior triangles out of plywood, installed glass skylights, triangle skylights, into those exterior panels, and got into a discussion and explanation of the dome geometry. We're cutting out the triangles out of 3/4-inch plywood rectangular panels. We average approximately 1 sheet of plywood per triangle on the dome. You're dealing with 105 triangles as the standard quantity in a, say, a 36 to 40 foot diameter dome that would give you 1,000 or 1,200 square feet on the main floor. Makes it a very comfortable space. We don't always have the same number of parts and pieces because in a low profile, the dome is actually lower, so it goes together faster. In a high-profile or mid-profile dome, you have more parts and pieces, so it takes a little longer. Generally, we're talking about a day to put the framework up and a day to put the triangle panels in place. The skylights that we do can be put anywhere in the dome, in any quantity. We've got some domes out there. There's one in Sedona with a gorgeous view of the mountains, the Sedona Mountains, and there are 19 triangle windows. So these are all glass skylights, large grouping, 2 stories tall, to look at this view. We could also have wide panoramic groupings of skylights. There's a dome on the beach in North Carolina, and that one has approximately 40 to 45 lineal feet of continuous glass to look out at the ocean. If you've got the view, you've got to exploit that view, and the dome can do that. The high-profile dome is actually building a dome that goes below the equator line of the sphere. The mid-profile dome is just that. You're building the sphere at its midpoint, which is the equator of the dome, and the low-profile dome is above the equator line, where you're cutting the sphere off. The other thing we talked about was the frequency of the dome, and it relates to the size of the triangle panels. So we change the geometry of the dome as the parts and pieces get larger in relation to the total sphere. So the dome that's being built, that's 26 foot in diameter, which is like 500 square foot, like an efficiency apartment, has the same size triangles as the 75 foot diameter dome that has 4,300 square feet on the main floor. It's a relationship there that we like to maintain, because then the parts are easily put together and can be done without using cranes, without using supports. This is a self-supporting structure. Makes it a lot easier for the ordinary person to put together. On the third day of Dome School, we showed how to put on asphalt shingles on the outside of the dome, then went around to the inside and cut out a large piece of triangle insulation, and then put on the vapor barrier going over that, and dealt with the interior triangle panel being installed. After we completed these parts and pieces on the dome mock-up, went over to a dome about 400 feet away that we have under construction. It is a dome being built with very green building techniques, showing how things were being done on the inside in real life. The insulation system that we use is fiberglass, so we end up cutting one-piece triangles out of these rolls. And because of the thickness of our structure, we're talking 15-inch, 18-inch, and 21-inch thick, and a few that are 24-inch. People will discuss with me the point of diminishing returns law that they say would negate putting this much insulation into a dome panel, into a house panel, but it relates to the energy cost. It's based on looking back on history, but looking forward to the lifespan of this house. There is a payback. It's a short time frame. Will there be energy? That's part of what we're talking about. We have a dome house that is 3,200 square feet on 3 floors, and the heating bill is averaging about $380 for the year. In one case, there's a fellow south of Dallas. His air conditioning cost was running, actually his total electric bill was running $60 a month, which was far under what his neighbors were having. We have a particular structural system with our dome that incorporates a metal connection hardware bracket and a super wall strut, as we call it, which is a 2x8 attached to a 2x4, and that makes our very thick wall. We ventilate the wall between the insulation and the exterior panel. This would eliminate condensation issues in the winter in the northern tier of the country, but in the south, we ventilate that to get rid of the heat buildup in that wall and roof cavity. There are 5 what we consider to be major climatic areas in the country. So we treat our system differently in those regions. Part of Dome School is being able to come and meet other people with similar interests. We have 5 meals that are served during Dome School, and there's a lot of conversation, all of it usually revolving around domes, but it's really also finding out who else is out there talking about domes, dreaming about domes. Most of the people who came to dome school wanted to find out, could they really build their own house? I think they leave with the understanding that yes, they can actually build their own house. We're taking something that is very complex mathematically, getting rid of the math, getting rid of the complexity, and making it simple.